Hey everyone, Star Trek Picard Season 1, Episode 10 at Arcadia Ego Part 2 is over, but we are just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. In the midst of a pandemic, at least we have Star Trek and podcast to help get us through all this. I'm joined by a fabulous panel today. Oh, what a panel do we have for the finale. I'm joined to my immediate left by my lovely wife, Jane Mader. Say hello, Jane.
Hello.
I'm joined down here in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, the ever cynical Jeff Mader.
Hey, I'm not that cynical.
Oh, yeah, you're less cynical.
I actually like the show.
In the bottom middle panel, we have the ever salty Jody Simpson. Say hello, Jody.
Fucking salty, whatever.
Ever salty. I can't even.
What's he gonna come up with, Kevin? I don't.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, the ever incredulous Kevin Millard.
Incredulous, Jesus.
Can you even spell incredulous?
It's a word. Look it up. And in
I
the
know it's a
background,
word.
his wife Ashley may chime in from time to time. So, or as much as she'd like, really. Okay, let's talk about this episode. This was the finale. This was the 10th episode of this first season. Spoilers ahead if you haven't watched this finale or Star Trek Picard in general. I haven't really emphasized that on the podcast much this.
Yeah, it's a little late for that now, isn't it?
It's a little, but here, we
9
have,
episodes without any spoiler.
I think we have to kind of let's not bury the lead here. Picard's dead.
Picard is dead.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, okay,
And
let's.
now he's a shitty fucking android. Great. They didn't make him any better.
It was a complete like loophole. Like literally, they basically killed him, but brought him back, and it where his AI will still die in the regular time he would have died anyway. It was like, then why kill him?
The shittiest android ever.
It's not like he was a young man who died before his time. He died of natural causes, effectively, at the age of 94. But
I just don't understand why we had to do that. Like, what was the point? Like, is it so he can relate more to OG, or is it like, or whatever her fucking name is? But I don't know anything about this thing. But I don't get why they even had to bother. Seems like such a waste of time.
Yeah, I think you could have easily just written in something that, we found a cure to his Uramotic syndrome and his brain defect, and he's not gonna die now. But they didn't do that. Instead, they've killed Picard. He's died. He's reborn in a sense. He's a continuation in this android form. Mm-hmm. But they dealt with this on The Next Generation with Juliana Soong, who was like kind of Data's mother, right? Like there was a real human Juliana Soong, and then she died, and very much the same. Her Noonien Soong put her consciousness into an android who Data met many years later, and was effectively the same person, but wasn't also the same person. If I were to say to you, you're going to die, but your consciousness or your memories will go on in an android. But when the lights go out for you, the lights go out for you. Maybe you have some comfort in that you keep going, but
They also did that in that episode where Data's body was taken over by that scientist.
Ira Graves.
To love him is to love him. To that guy.
Was that really Ira Graves, or did Ira Graves die?
I think you can transfer consciousness. So I still think Picard is alive. His body's dead, but Picard is alive. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of what they alluded to in the scene with Picard and Data. When Picard's like, do I have to go? And like Data's like, yeah, that's basically like Picard's consciousness died, but then it went back into the body. It's not like, I don't know if I agree with your conclusion there, Dave, because I don't know if the lights go out for Picard. It seemed like it went back into the new Picard. That was what they implied.
Well, he died. Like we watched him die.
Yeah, but then his consciousness went to go talk to Data, and then that consciousness left. He didn't stay with Data. You know what I mean? Like,
no, they was in the simulation in like that construct space, and then yeah, like he kind of gets downloaded into the golem effectively.
Yeah.
But Data says to him, "Yes, you died." Even Data confirmed it.
Right. But
Mhm.
like, why couldn't they put Data back into a new Data?
Instead of Picard is dead, it's Picard is Jesus.
Picard is Jesus.
He's
Picard is
been
reborn.
resurrected.
Okay, well,
He rested for 3 days. He rose again.
Jody,
Well, I think
where
it
do
was less than 3 days, but
Jody,
Yeah.
where do you weigh in on this? Do you consider Picard to have died, or do you consider that this is just sort of like he got a new hip or something? Like, this is no big deal.
he died, and then he's back, and I really don't care. That's what it comes down to.
Also,
It's such a silly plot point.
Why is
What's
he
that?
so old and frail as an android? Why would they do that to him? And he's just like,
Like, they could have brought him back, like,
any
to this,
extra
like-
abilities at all.
If they had done that, if they had brought back and they de-aged Picard to look like he did in TNG, if they had did that and put old consciousness into young-looking Picard, that would have been badass. I think everybody would have loved that, but probably would have costed way too much to do.
Like if
that.
they had to de-age him in every scene from now on.
Yeah, exactly. Make it look like TNG Picard.
He doesn't need to be young looking. He just some extra abilities would have been nice, I think.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're like, we gave you no augmentations, and you will die in 10 to 20 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm good with 10 years. Like, I get not wanting to live forever, but how about another 50 or so?
Well, like Vulcans live to like be 300. Like, why can't he live to be 300? Like, it's kind of silly, really. And like I think the next point also is like worth discussing. Like, Data's dead again, or this backup of Data. This was effectively like sort of a copy of Data that was reconstituted, right?
Yeah. From one of those. Yeah.
I liked that part of it. I liked him asking to die to be more human.
Mhm.
I liked that part of it.
But it was his consciousness that was dying, wasn't it?
Like effectively, the reconstituted consciousness, because he says he doesn't remember his death because basically he was downloaded. He made a backup of himself into B4's mind or into B4 systems before in Nemesis. But anything that happened after, he doesn't remember anything that happened after that moment in engineering where he copied himself down to B4. So, not that there was that much that happened. It was only a matter of a couple of days.
So he's just been living in this little world, or does he, for this last number of years? I didn't get that. Like,
at least it happened sometime after Bruce Maddox left Earth after the Mars attack. Like, it happened sometime in the last 14 years that he was sort of like reborn, and from that they were able to create all these other androids, like this whole planet on Capelius.
Well, it looked just like a nightmare where he was. So I'm like, I get why he wanted to die.
But I don't understand why you couldn't put him, like, to Jeff's point, into like a new android body.
Yeah.
I think they could have.
Yeah.
They definitely could have, but
If they could do it with
I got more of the opinion that he didn't want to.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
And
there's a point where Data basically says, like, I want to die. Like, I'm done.
Right.
So.
Yeah. That he didn't want to sort of be immortal, but I don't know. I also
but that was his wish from day one. He wanted to be human, right? So he wanted to be able to die.
True.
So,
but he also knew that he could live for a long time. I don't know. It's I get it, and I also think that it worked in the show. I think that I think that the scenes with Data and Picard throughout this whole show, like, there was only a couple of them, really, like, hit me in the feels a lot. I thought that these conversations, and then sort of like the death that Data goes through as they're kind of pulling those cards out, like, of his system.
That got to me.
Where he's fading away and withering into like this husk of who he was, and Picard's.
Well, did you notice that he like aged before he died?
Yeah, I did.
It's kind of weird.
I missed. I think they missed a huge opportunity though with Picard's death. Like, I was just watching it because I have it playing on silent up here, and it's like literally 4 characters that just got introduced in this show that have not known Picard as long as we've known Picard. Could they not have thrown Riker in his death scene? Could they not have gotten Geordi LaForge for a cameo, or just got some people
Well,
that
and every
Yeah.
Picard when he died would have landed better?
Yeah, every single time I see that bloody, like the bloody vineyard in the flashbacks, I always think Geordi's going to be there, right? Because like one of the scenes in one of the last episodes was Geordi walking up all old and shit, and he's like, "Hey, Picard, how you doing? It's been a while." It's just like I'm waiting for Geordi to show up, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Or Crusher, or just anybody that would have even 7 and 9 didn't really know Picard. And
Well, like I really felt like the moment where Riker and Picard were speaking, on the view screen, I thought was to me that was like, I'm glad they had that. I'm glad that those two sort of had that moment together, like taking on the Romulans in this case, and then later on, like when he's just like they're, I learned from the best. I was like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that was good.
Well, in that scene, Picard knew it was goodbye with Riker. Riker didn't know what was going on. But
Right? Yeah.
Picard knew that was their last time they were going to talk, and we knew that too. So that hit me, but I didn't feel any emotion after Picard died because I knew that they were transferring him over. So with all the scenes with Seven and like when they were all crying, I'm like, I know I should feel more, but he's not dead. So
It would have been better if they hadn't revealed that they were doing a second season already.
Yeah.
Right.
We might have, you might have actually thought he was dead at that moment, but now at that moment that he's not, because there's going to be a season 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And my question on that is like, okay, like if you accept like that it was the end of Jean-Luc Picard as we knew him, and now there's sort of a rebirth here. Like, how do you like? I guess how do we feel about this death compared to like Kirk's death, for instance? Like, that's the other captain.
I kept waiting for him to say, "Oh my." That would have
Bye.
Oh my! Like in George Takei's voice, that would have been
No, that's what
Shatner.
that's what Kirk says when he
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah. Oh
He
my.
just, oh my!
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Come
it's just no. But that's George Takei's like catchphrase now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
It's okay to be Takei.
Wow. Wow.
This has gone off the rails, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Here, let's talk
Wow.
about. Let's move on. Okay. Here's some other highlights I had. You had mentioned this was not your favorite part, but I kind of liked it when Jurati pulled out that magic wand. Yeah, and then she was like, I'm
Dave pulled it back
multiplicity.
and forth, too.
This is literally the scariest scene in the entire goddamn series. This is so I leapt out of my chair and almost threw up.
I thought it was fun. I thought this was actually
Brutal.
This was like the first time I actually saw Jurati do something useful with the in the crew, and like she actually came up with an idea and helped this particular situation. Where she's like, "Oh, I read about the Picard maneuver. That's a thing," and then she kind of remembers what it is, and that we can maybe.
Anybody else get the gist on that scene where you're kind of like, wow, this was completely forced? It's like, oh, she would know this. Come on. When is she going to be studying
the two of
tactical
them
analysis?
The two of them aren't taking on a Romulan fleet at all. There's no fucking way. He looks like a doddering old man trying to figure out Snapchat every time he sits
Yeah, he's like,
on the computer. And she's a fucking doctor. Like, what does she know about?
A cybernetic doctor, like a
Science doctor.
Yeah, if you had had like it would have been the same effect. It would have been like, what's going on? Like, you need a helm. You need somebody to fly the ship.
you know who you need?
Doesn't quite feel like Star Trek when they're
Riker. That's what you need.
Riker. Well, hey, can we talk about that too? Because that was one of the best. Like I
was hoping he was going to be making pizza on the bridge.
Yeah, when he shows up and he's like, "What you think? I was just going to sit around the woods and make pizza?"
That was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
No, everything with Riker was great. We only got a little bit of it in this episode, but
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, he's back on the bridge." He's like, "I got a powerful starship. We're gonna take your treacherous Tal Shiar ass on. You better."
Oh yeah, he was clearly the badass of the episode for sure.
Yeah,
He
and
had like barely any lines, but it was like, I'm here, I'm gonna cause some shit, and you're a traitor.
So is O Tal Shiar or Jat Vash, or does Riker just not know about Jat Vash?
I don't think he knows about Jat
he
Vash.
wouldn't know about Jad Vash.
So he
so
assumed
much.
Tal Shiar.
I think he knew.
Wow.
He knew from what they had learned when they met up, like that the Tal Shiar were after them.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
So, and I guess that it was outed that Commodore O was like a mole.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that information.
She's sitting on the Romulan
But
ship.
with the security that they have at Starfleet Academy now, can't she just walk in and they won't know who she is anyway? Like they did that with Picard.
Can you spell your last name for me, please?
Yeah. It's
O-H?
O
Oh, sorry.
H.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back. Yeah. I don't know. Like Riker was great in this. We were speculating last week that maybe because we knew Starfleet was going to show up to kind of save the day against the Romulans at some point in this battle, but that maybe it would be Worf on the Enterprise. But this made more sense because they had set up Riker early in the season.
That he was still on active duty, or
yeah, he had
whatever.
said, "Oh, I'm still in the active reserve," so
reserve.
he could jump back in if he needed to, and it made more sense. I think, well, and Troy wasn't with him either. I guess she stayed.
Good.
Kid.
She doesn't need to be. What's she gonna do? I sense there's Romulans here, Captain.
Yeah.
Fucking fuck off.
The other thing that really, like, this is a minor thing, but it was something that just at the end of the episode where Rafi.
Yeah. Ashley and I both went, "What the fuck?"
Oh, well, they've hinted at Seven being like a lesbian to begin with, right?
Yes.
So they did that even in Voyager. So it's, I'm not shocked, but literally, like, what's Seven going to see in some druggie?
Well, that hasn't really been positioned. They haven't interacted much, these two, at all. Only in that like Great Escape episode where they're coming up with like the plot to the disguises and all this stuff. That's the only time they really interacted, and there wasn't really anything between them there. And so I was like, okay, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna put these two characters together, like shoehorn that in at the end of this episode, like set it up. Like, so after Picard dies, like Seven has this conversation with Rios, and they're drinking the green slime, and commiserating whatever. Like, why not make that a conversation between Raffi and Seven instead? At least we can see those two bonding on some level, or
This
something.
is way out of left field. It was unnecessary.
Yeah, like
distracting.
Why do that? Thoughts?
Not my thoughts.
They have another season to do.
So
they don't want to jump the gun. They don't want to like already set it up. Maybe they want to keep it for next season or something. They're like you said, they're hiding it.
well, it just reeks of lazy writing to me. Like, that's all. It doesn't. They didn't do
There you
enough.
go.
I think they're overthinking it.
Who we're overthinking it, or they are?
The writers, like, they're over not showing it because they want to set it up more for next season.
There's your handhold right there.
Okay.
I get.
Well, here let's go like with that. Like, where is this going? Because this is the scene where they're all okay. Now we have this crew all together. We got Android Picard. We got the crew. Seven, I guess, is joined up here now. So
Thank God.
they're all wearing that that same little comm badge emblem. I don't know quite what it is.
It almost looks like an infinity sign. Some people say it's like representative of Soji's necklace thing.
Right. Yeah. So they're
like, when do they have time to forge badges?
Yeah.
Replicator?
Well, they can get it from the replicator, but the so now
Screw you and your logic, Jane.
Yeah. They're a makeshift crew now. They're a civilian crew. Like, what do you do with this? They don't have a mission like they did this season, right? Like, where
I think they have to stop by and get Seven's Ranger friends, and then create like it'll be like kind of like Inglorious Bastards kind of situation where they run around and skin Romulans. Because that's what I'm hoping for.
Just the way that this ended, I can see why they're struggling, because I heard a story that Patrick Stewart went to whatever producer or writer, I guess, head writer, and was like, "Okay, what do you got in mind for season 2?" And he just quit. He was like, "I don't know." I just
was it Alex Kurtzman?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't Kurtzman, but it was somebody high up in like their creative team ranking, and he was just like, "I got nothing. I'm out. So see you later." So and I guess
Well,
they've had to
Well,
hire.
you know what they're gonna do then? They're gonna do the Borg because the Borg is the easiest thing to write. So
Yeah.
like if they're gonna, that's probably what they'll do. Because they
Like
have seven
going
of them.
around that saving
Yeah.
Explorer.
Look at Voyager.
Yeah, exactly.
Voyager would have been 2 seasons.
And you could
maybe
argue
3.
Voyager kind of ruined the Borg. They kind of took the teeth out of the Borg in some ways because the Voyager managed to avoid the Borg at every turn, despite all odds. You know, and
Well, that's because Janeway was cunning.
Yeah. Well, and she
Yeah,
had
right.
7 of 9 who could help her, kind of get through any situation.
I was hoping 7 would take the Borg ship and they would use that from now on.
Yeah, 7 as the new Borg Queen would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See,
Like
like,
a villain?
out.
But like a good Borg.
A good Borg queen.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, she
that's-
took over for a couple minutes.
maybe they make her like the evil Borg Queen by the end of season 2. That'd be pretty pimp.
As long as they don't kill her.
Are we confirmed that Q's coming back? Jody.
Okay, so there's not any official, but it looks like it's happening, yeah.
Say
And
cute.
when are they starting? Well, I guess with the,
I guess
with
what-
the COVID, who knows?
With
right?
coronavirus, and we're all on lockdown.
So he was apparently at a table reading during season 1, but he was only there briefly for something. So I guess maybe it was originally they were going to put him in for the first season, and now they've stretched it.
Yeah.
So that's the rumor anyway.
Yeah, I guess it depends what they're going to do with this next season. Are they going to make it like this one was, where it was a 10-episode arc? And I think we need to talk about that. Like, was this ultimately satisfying as a story, like the way that they told this story?
I could have taken the last 2 episodes and made it a movie, and that, that's what my personal opinion. Like it was, I think everything before the last 2 episodes was kind of like just prologue.
Just all set up to like this
Very drawn out prologue, but yeah.
Yeah, very drawn out, and like literally they could have put the first 8 episodes in a movie in probably 25 minutes. They could have fit most of what happened in those 8
I think they could have took the content of the 10 episodes and made the 6-episode run, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, that too. Or you could have
I
done
think
There's a lot of filler.
movies,
Right.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is not a trashing of it, but just my opinion that I don't feel like I've watched a season of Star Trek. I feel like I've watched a show, but it's not what Star Trek is to me. Star Trek's like throwing it on when I'm doing laundry or whatever, and being like, "Oh, that one. Oh, that one." I don't think this is for me rewatchable Star Trek.
It's not episodic.
Not episodic. So it's not just I can't.
Well,
myself
I'm
in
hoping that's what they
like-
do with season 2. Like it's almost like they're setting up the crew now.
Yes.
Yeah.
they
So
do.
it's almost like now you have the crew, right?
Right.
Like
Now you have your crew, you have this story. So I think it's fine for that standpoint that they
I don't want them to do joining episodes. I would really like it if they just did like kind of like Next Gen did, where it's like everything's wrapped up in 45 minutes. We're good to
One
go.
story per episode.
Yeah.
Or I would do it like yeah. So if it can be more than 10 episodes, then do it like Supernatural does, where you have like this long arc of your season. You have your big bad, whatever it is, but then you can just have these one-off episodes that can be quieter and can just establish character more and put these characters in some interesting situations to see how they react and world build, because there's so much potential out there. Like, why does it have to be 10 episodes?
Almost
Why
like-
do 20 episodes?
You said almost like Deep Space Nine did with the war, but then there were episodes that were with the Orion Syndicate or Section 31 or whatever.
Deep Space Nine, I think, set the precedent, like the template for the best way to do Star Trek. The TNG got there, a little
For
bit.
3 seasons.
Yeah. For 3 seasons.
It depends if you like these sort of smaller stories or if you like these longer, bigger, narratives.
But you can do it and have both.
You can have both. I think what we're saying is you could have both. It doesn't have to be one or other. And I think between Picard, it was very consistent with how Discovery did their first 2 seasons. And so I'm just like the Star Trek creative team. I'm like, can you maybe try to get out of that? You don't have to be Game of Thrones. Even Game of Thrones has a couple episodes that are kind of quieter or kind of are a little bit more character driven, not this huge thing that's going on and whatever. And ultimately, like, I think that these villains that they presented us with, these Romulans in this season, like, what was it all for?
Yeah.
You know,
They were not great.
They also were doing something that was extremely evil. They were trying to, in their minds, self-preserve. They were trying to, they weren't doing it just because of like hate. They were doing it because they thought it was the only way to self-preserve, right? And so were the what do they call it? The android. Yeah, the synths. They were doing the same thing. They were just trying, and that's like with that moment where Picard's like, "You have the decision," and then first of all, like, it opens the portal, and then the Starfleet shows up, which I was confused. I was like, "Did Starfleet come through the portal?" I was confused at first, but that's not what happened.
No.
And but it kind of they almost showed it like that. So
yeah, it wasn't that scene wasn't really defined right. I felt the same way the first time. I actually stopped and went back a little bit. I saw it before all you guys did because I downloaded it in a non-legal way. But so I actually remember watching it the first time, and then I watched it. I got about halfway through, saw Riker, got my half stiffy, and then after that, I started seeing everything happen, and then I'm like, wait a second, hold on, did he come through the red portal that they just made? Because at that point, they didn't really like clip the two together correctly.
Right.
So it was almost like bang, 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 and everybody's there. It's like, okay, well,
it's just the way that they show, the way they, like, since Discovery and this, the way they just show warp coming in, it's like this like boom kind of thing now. It's
Star Wars.
The special effects guy had a really easy job because apparently Starfleet has nothing but the exact same vehicle.
Yeah.
Because literally it was cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste.
Yeah.
It was like, I would have liked to see a little bit more variety in some of the ships, see some older ones,
Me too.
see some newer ones.
Yeah.
Like they did with like Wolf 359, right? Where you see like all different, even different generations of ships, like, ships that are decommissioned have come back for a little bit, stuff like that, so it would have been nice to see that.
I think it's one of the biggest.
I didn't even figure out which ship Riker was on. Like, I was like,
it didn't really
one
matter.
of them, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it would have been nice to see it.
He was on the Zheng He or something.
Yes, which is the most powerful starship now that they have in active service, but yet I don't know which one it is.
We didn't even get a good look at the class.
I don't even know what it looks like.
Coming from Star Trek that loves to show off the ships.
They used
the Enterprise. It was always the Enterprise. They fucking so many.
The Enterprise was a character
of the Enterprise, right? But any other ship, are like, that's chuffa. That's nothing.
It's my other big criticism with this creative team is that they don't seem to get that. They don't really seem to get that the ship matters too. Even like if you look at La Serena, it's not exactly a great looking ship. It's aerodynamic, I guess.
But treated like a character, like you do with all the other ships.
Being aerodynamic,
Well, yeah, you're in space. It wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, so they've explained this 1,000 bloody times. Okay, you have to have an aerodynamic ship if you're going to be entering the atmosphere. Some ships do.
So
the Borg don't.
You still have to have that.
Right, but
not every ship does. But
like, I think the point is, like, Star Trek always put so much pride into like the look of the ships on screen, going back to the original series and definitely through the movies. Remember that scene in Star Trek 1? Like, they're showing us the Enterprise for like 10 minutes.
Fuck.
And now,
they got like a 30-minute.
After having watched Discovery 2 seasons of this and now a season of this, I'm like, they don't care about that. Like, it doesn't matter if the ships look good, and they're kind of an afterthought.
No, they care about there being a lot of them and a lot of action going on in space instead of
it's more
space being mostly empty.
That's what Star Wars does. Every time you go see a Star Wars movie, there's like hundreds of ships attacking each other, and it's just like laser fights.
It's all Star Wars.
Yeah, right. So
right.
They keep making Star Trek more like Star Wars. And Star Trek fans are getting pissed off, and they should. Like it's not what we grow up watching. It's a more slower tactical thing usually in Star Trek. We got.
It's more of a game of chess. It's usually usually they didn't have money to show us like anything really outside the ship. They would just be like, oh, they're doing stuff outside, and they would tell us, and like often they wouldn't even show us, but we kind of had a sense of it, and then we get the glory shot of the ship, or we get like the whatever, like maybe some battles. Deep Space Nine did this way more than like Next Gen did, where they just didn't have money for that kind of stuff.
But like, look at this clusterfuck here. Like this is
Oh wow!
I know this battle.
We haven't even talked about the flowers.
The flowers.
They were
Who
pretty
cares
cool.
about the flowers?
They didn't play a
But-
big part in this. They in this they were a bigger part of the first episode, I guess.
And why did they release
Oh,
them?
right.
They
I watched
released
them
them
both.
late and they were slow and
Release the flowers.
yeah.
Like, does anybody know anything as to what's going on in this scene?
No.
Okay, and that's basically what every scene was in this every space battle scene in this thing was basically, as Jeff put it, Star Wars. It really was.
Yeah, it's more interesting to watch two ships square off than
Yeah.
Like I liked the one where 7 of 9 beamed in at the end of episode 4, and they had that battle with that old Romulan ship. That was
good.
more
Oh,
interesting. That looked good. This did not.
No.
Like there was just it was visually repulsive, as Kevin would say. It was
Unfucking believable.
and it didn't make sense to me. Like we're talking about these villains. Okay, so the Romulans wanted to destroy all artificial life forms, right? They were coming to this planet anyway, right? They were just going to wipe them out.
Yeah.
What changes their mind is that Soji changes her mind about wiping out all organic life in the galaxy.
No, I think it was that Starfleet would go to war with them, and they thought it wasn't worth it.
It's not worth.
I don't think they
it's not
changed
worth
their
going to
mind.
war with the Federation to save.
No, it was both. It was both because, like, remember, like he was like, you have the choice. Like, basically, like Riker was like, fight me or whatever, and then she was going to. She was like going to. All right, we have to fight them, but she didn't. Then that's when Soji turned down the machine, and then she was like, okay, fuck it.
And what about the fucking the synthetic life coming through the portal? Hi, was I watching Avengers? That looked exactly like Avengers.
It looked like Matrix, like kind of like
Yeah,
Sentinel.
Matrix. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
And
So
now they came to that portal, this advanced synth culture or whatever civilization, and now they can't come back. Like, don't they know where they are now?
they built the thing.
They built it.
Maybe they'll be the new Borg.
They were
and
there.
we'll have to fight them.
They built the thing. They built that warning, that admonishment thing, right? And they left, I guess. And now when Soji builds this portal for them to come through, they go, "Oh, you closed the portal. Well, since we invented the technology to open the portals, we could open a new one, and even so, we would know where we're going because it was, you can.
So
tell.
is that season 2, or they're just going to drop this?
I hope they drop it. I don't need any more of the evil like snake android things from another galaxy coming through right now. That's not so interesting to me.
No. I think they might go back to it if it was the old Star Trek. Like maybe in a couple seasons, maybe, I don't know.
Because the Federation was watching that happen too, right? Everybody was there. All the Romulans were watching. All the Starfleet ships were there, and they're like, "Oh, that doesn't look good." And I guess if they had gone through, they would have destroyed all of them,
So
right?
like sad. Who knows? I mean,
They didn't look friendly,
no, they did not look friendly. But yeah, it looks like those things from the Matrix.
or you could, yeah. Like I think the Avengers is also a good pull because it kind of looked like those big Shatari things that came through a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like yes, it did kind of like yes. You're right. The imagery was very much like the first Avengers when the Centauri are coming through the portal.
Yeah, we were watching it, and I'm like, "Is this New York now? Are they in New York? What's going on?" Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess okay. So how do we feel about this show in general? Like, are we? I think we're maybe mixed. It sounds like it's like there's some things we like, but maybe there's a little more that we don't. If you had to give it out of like this season out of 10, what score would you give it? Maybe to you, Jeff, first.
6.5, probably 65%. I think good. I mean, there's parts I think they need to refine about it. Like I think it was a good watch for the most part. It didn't bore me for most of the time, but at the same time, it didn't feel enough like Star Trek. I wish they would go in those little details and just make it. If they can get the show up to an 85%, I'll be very happy. I think they can do that, but I need more like what they were doing in this episode that was good was like some of the callbacks, some of the just like Picard, like the emotional stuff, the feels, like you said, it was all with Riker and Data.
Yeah.
I don't know if they need to develop the new characters better or just bring back old ones. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, Jody, how about you?
I feel it's like TNG season 2. It's okay.
That good?
It's not
That good?
great.
I wouldn't even go that good. I go more THD season 1.
No, it doesn't deserve that. Like Pulaski is basically Girardi.
Okay.
Fucking just as annoying, just as irritating. I'm kind of with Jeff. Same thing. Like I think it's got potential. I think we need to realize that this is just the first season. Okay, if it was only going to be a 10-episode run and that was it, I think they failed. But knowing the fact that we have 2 more seasons coming in this scenario gives me some hope. I think we're going to be okay. I think they're going to get their. I think they're going to kind of hit the stride now that they have more people in the crew as well, and you kind of have a more diverse crew. I really hope nothing goes on with Seven and what's her name, because honestly, I don't want to see any sort of bitch fights about that.
What, Raffi?
Oh yeah,
Well, if you remember in episode 1,
if they want to throw Raffi in like a fucking torpedo chamber and shoot her somewhere, I'm good
it
with
was
it.
Eric and Soji making googly eyes at each other, and then in the next episode they were like waking up in bed together. So definitely Seven and Raffi have hooked up here from the
I'm sure it's going to happen, but I hope it doesn't dwell. If anything, the only thing I hope that does happen is maybe they kill off Raffi soon, and like Seven's like vengeance, bitches, that kind of thing. But past that, I'm okay with the episode, with the season. I think it wasn't bad. Like, it's definitely better than Discovery, in my opinion, for what I've seen of Discovery. But it definitely has a lot of room to improve.
Okay, did you give a score?
Do I need to give a score? What's our rating here?
Out of 10.
Out of 10? Just out of
Out
10.
of 10?
You have to quantify it.
7. Nah, maybe 6. Maybe 6. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay, about the same as Jeff then. And then Kevin?
I'm about the same, a 6 or a 7. We got to remember that the first episode of like every Star Trek, or not the first episode, the first season of every Star Trek is So it's on brand, at least.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you go back and rewatch this?
Yes, I will go back and rewatch it because I'll want to watch it sort of not week to week, just sort of straight through as a story. But yeah, it's all right. It's not. I really don't like them making him an android, but everything else is fine.
I think they're literally going to brush over that, though.
Oh,
it was just the way to. Yeah, it's going to be like literally like no one mentions it again.
They have to. They didn't give him any abilities.
I know. That's why I'm saying, like, literally, they gave him nothing. So why bother putting it out?
They could be like, okay, Girardi is like, I don't know, I reprogrammed something. Now you have abilities, Picard. If
you guys hated Girardi from the beginning. I didn't, and now I do. The more I watched it.
Yeah. Okay. And out of 10, do you have like sort of the same thing, right? 6 or 7?
6, 7.
Jane?
Yeah, again 6, 7. I agree. Maybe more 7. What was I was going to mention that I am more attached to this crew than I am to the Discovery crew, and that's something.
Yeah.
After a couple of seasons of Discovery, I know all their names. I feel like I know the characters.
Care about some of them at least.
I care about them all. So that's what this Picard's done better than Discovery. Definitely. So I'm more invested. Though I still want episodic. Please.
Like smaller stories, whatever. And Discovery didn't do a lot of that. They did more than Picard did, I think, in their first season.
Of episodic?
Yeah, having a little more episodic stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of Discovery episodes in the first season. The second season, no, I agree with you. That it was just that long.
The AI.
The Red Angel story, and
the Red Angel.
I don't even want to get into it. But anyway, but Discovery.
I don't even know. I stopped watching. It sucks.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say that this crew is more likable. I'm warming up to Girardi, even though she's a cold-blooded killer who they should be thrown in jail. Oh yeah, there he is.
Yeah, like they just completely skipped over that part. They're like, yeah, she murdered that guy in cold blood, and they're like, okay, I mean, you're still on the crew.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and like I guess what they tried to explain to us was that she was out of her mind or something.
She had reasons.
Well, just like that and the evil Soji Sutra, the sister, right, that had the more data like attributes.
Is Sutra dead?
Is she dead? By the way,
No, they just turned her off.
Turned off.
Soon just hit her with like a little off switch thing.
Yeah, the thing that they all have, but yet that was conveniently only happening then.
Right.
She's going to be the new lore then.
Yeah,
God,
but,
I hope so.
is she as because she saw the admonishment? Then is she responsible for her actions either?
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, because she did that fucking mind meld thing. Well, she is responsible for
Well,
actions.
yeah, it depends.
She's clearly the evil android.
Yeah.
Like, look at her. She's
which
obviously evil.
before that mind meld, which
Yeah.
by the way, for those stupid, but
Garbage.
that an android could perform.
Yeah.
A mind meld.
You can't teach yourself to do the Vulcan mind meld. It's a Vulcan thing. You have to be Vulcan.
You have to be telepathic and
The nerve pinch.
the nerve pinch.
Yeah,
Fine,
that's acceptable.
That's different, but this no. Anyway, that's a gripe from last week, but it's
unless you're like from Beta Z or something like that. That Troy could learn.
Well,
How to do
Yeah,
it.
you get Troy in there. She could read some minds.
He could
It's
learn
over
how to
with.
do that. So, but no, not an android.
ultimately the question we're trying to answer is like, is Jody redeemed after this? Right?
No,
No.
she's not redeemed.
No.
They didn't address the fact she murdered that guy in cold blood, and they just were like, yeah, she was out of her mind. Whatever. It's just an excuses. Like.
Right. And now she's in a relationship with Rios, and they're off into the sunset together.
It's ridiculous that the explanation for her character. And we're supposed to sympathize with this character going forward when we know she's a murderer. And it's like, what is going on? Like, why are they doing this to us in the show? I don't get it. I don't know. Do you guys get it?
No.
No.
I would have got it if like ultimately Jody was sort of like a tragic character that died like at the end of the season, but that's not what happened. They just she like almost like kind of got over her PTSD, and now it's all okay now, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when he was saying in the episode today, like when Brent Spiner tells her, like, you're like their mother or whatever, and then she goes like, keep it together, you can do this. I'm like, oh fuck, who's she gonna kill now? What the fuck's going on? Like, she cannot be trusted by any like means necessary. You cannot trust her. She can kill anybody at any time. She can kill like the new android Picard at any time. She's like the villain of the show, but she's just hidden within the show, and it's
Right.
She even says that. She's like basically says, I have an aptitude for lying to everybody and murdering.
Right. These androids who have like built-in lie detectors. They can tell if you're lying, but she was able to fool them.
Yeah.
So what does that make her? A sociopath.
she's super villain.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm concerned with that, but I guess she got Picard reborn in this android body.
Yeah, she
And
did.
Raffi is like she's just sassy pants. She's like when the Romulan guy is like throwing the rock at the ship, and she's like, yeah, but we could kick your ass, right? And he's like, I've got these more fucking crazy grenades I could throw at you, but I'm not, because we need to work together.
On that, can we just pause there, because Jane and I were rewatching this morning, and there's the scene right before that where you hear the banging right after they get the ship sort of running again, and Rio says, I know that sound, right? And you go, what? Right? And knowing what was coming, that it was Narek throwing rocks. I'm like, why would he know that sound? Why would he know that what a rock hitting his windshield sound like? It's from being in space.
He's had that experience before where people have thrown rocks at his windshield to wake him up.
It's to me that perhaps there was a lot of rewrites and reshoots here that maybe weren't as clean. I feel like they. I don't think like this is the original ending they maybe wrote.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it didn't make any sense at all. I know that sound.
I know that sound.
Yeah.
Like it would be more like if somebody was hiding in a closet, maybe he knows that sound or something.
It would have been better if he just went, "What's that sound?" and then went running.
Yeah.
That's not what he does. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Okay.
They're trying too hard. They're trying to make him seem like he's smarter than he is. You know, that's what they do with a lot of these characters on Star Trek. I find they go, oh, well, he already knows this, the solution to this problem. And I always liked like with Spock and especially a lot of the old episodes. It was like they were figuring it out with you in real time, and they were like, they wouldn't just know the answer immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
It was-
Speaking of which, too, my other question is, what happened with Narek exactly?
No idea.
Last he was taken away by the synths. That's it. He became a
they used him to
good
get him
guy
to
or anti-hero, and that was it.
What changed his mind?
Well, I think. What do you mean? I think it was his arc that he was a good guy in his mind for the Romulans. He wanted to save us from the synthetics, but he was bad too. So he was kind of a hero guy, but not.
Okay, but like he was like Harry Treadaway, who plays Narek, was like one of the title cast of this show, right? He had top billing. Why, is he back next season? Probably not.
I would think so.
He was the only one of the main cast not on that ship for the end scene when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
So
he'll be on the crew, I think.
They'll find a way to reintegrate him somehow.
Yeah.
So him and Soji can have more fights.
Yeah.
And they can slide down some more hallways.
And slide down more hallways and socks. Rekindle their romance.
All things that will happen.
Yeah.
I like him, so I like to see more of him.
See, that's why he's in the show. The women love him. That's it's his only purpose.
I want him to team up with Commander O or whatever.
He's eye candy for the ladies.
He is.
Are you talking about Rios?
No,
Narek.
No.
Oh,
Narek.
Rios is not too bad either. And there's lots of him.
Ooh.
Well, I guess our eye candy is
7.
Soji or 7.
It's not. What are you talking about? It's not Girardi?
It's not Girardi.
No.
It's not Girardi. Sorry, Allison.
Oh, every time she
I'm
starts
Jody's.
to cry, I'm like,
Jody's
get her off the fucking camera, Jesus. It's awful.
Can we see some more Girardi, Jody? Can we get that going with the multiple faces again? Just one more time. Yeah, there it
she
is.
is.
Why?
Terrifying.
She's not a bad looking person, but
No, it's not her. It's just
The character is terrifying.
the character is terrifying because we know she's a psycho murderer.
she killed Bruce Maddox like with no problem. So she was crying. That makes her redeemable.
I guess Soji would be the eye candy for the guys on this.
Soji, she's funny looking, I think.
Well, it's no.
But no, I get that she's eye candy, but she's still a little funny looking. 7.
That's my eye candy right there.
Oh,
yeah.
wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah, he's hot.
Is he hotter then or now?
Then
Then.
he's kind of. I can't look at him now and say he's hot, but in the original Next Gen, he was still young enough for me to say hot man.
He was only like I think when he started the show, it was like 48 or something, right? Like
Yeah, 40, 50. It's around 50.
Yeah, because he was a bald, he looked older.
Yeah, but if you look at his skin and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's a hottie.
Okay, let's keep going, guys. Like, what else? Like, what else do you think about this show? And where you want to see it go next? I guess is sort of like because I think like this story had problems. I think these villains were blah. When 7 threw Narissa down the shaft, I was like, why couldn't that have happened like 4 episodes ago? It wouldn't have mattered at all, right? Like we didn't need that.
Yeah,
I was hoping she would kill
one person.
Sorry. I was hoping she would get killed like in front of her brother.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened with Narek because he still hugs her when he leaves, and like they did care about each other, but ultimately she.
Oh, he wanted to bang his own sister. Come on.
Well, they did have a
You
weird.
didn't see that sexual tension?
She wanted to bang him more than
He wanted to
did.
bang
He
her.
wanted to bang her.
He was reluctant to bang her, but he was perhaps.
Because even in that, yes, like who have you seen? Who have you? I think she said it was said fucked.
Yeah,
Like,
we had a few
I'm
F-bombs.
Yeah.
Here's my theory for season 2 of what's going to happen: is Narek is going to wake up the evil Sanji or whatever, and then they're going to be the bad guys.
Narek and Evil Soji,
Yeah.
Sutra.
Sutra.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't need that. I would rather they didn't do that. But I think it's plausible.
I don't know if Narek's a bad guy because, like, remember the sister wanted to torture and kill Soji, and he's like, no, hold off. Like, is he truly a bad guy?
He's not as like pure evil as she was. She was like kind of disturbed.
He's no Gerard. He's no Gerardi.
He's no Gerardi. I think he's a good actor. I just think as a character, I don't know if I'm getting enough out of him at all. Like, more in this episode than anything else. I feel like they tried to make him interesting in this episode. By the way, why are they all sitting around a campfire when they've got the ship systems back up in line to tell that? Is that just for dramatic effect when he's telling the end of the world story?
Some people like to camp, Dave, and like the campfire.
Wow.
That was too much. Wow. Oh,
that was amazing.
Well, you wouldn't catch me out there. I'd be inside in the ship where it's nice with air conditioning
and a bed.
They got power and Netflix. They would have it all. All right, and the holodeck. They have a holodeck. They could make a holographic campfire.
You were on fire. Not the same.
Make it so.
It's hard to stop looking at that.
that one's for you, Jane.
Thank you.
I feel like
you know, I touched his bum. I will never.
Really? You too?
What?
You
Patrick
too?
Stewart. Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
Oh.
Yep. This hand.
That one, eh? Have you watched it since?
Nope.
Okay.
Not even through the Corona thing.
Good for you.
Picard hand.
Other question too, like what will happen with Soji's homeworld here? Like what's going to happen with them? Because that's what a friend of mine asked me, like messaged me saying, like the Federation just left this like world of androids to develop into whatever, I guess, and
so the ban on the synth is lifted. So I guess across the whole.
That was my other gripe too. Was that the fact that once Soji chooses not to close that portal, even though she was a moment away from allowing the end of life itself, she was Picard walked her back. She faces no consequences of that, and the planet is kind of left. Right. I would hope the Federation would come back to try to establish relations of some kind or whatever. And we saw that Soong was also very comfortable in allowing these aliens through. The only thing that turned him around was when he realized that that Sutra was behind the murder.
That was a very quick turnaround too for him, for being like, they're my children. Okay, one of you killed one another, or you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes? Okay, now I'm going to go against you.
Now I'm going to pivot back the other way.
Yeah.
He was ready to download himself into the golem and see the end of all life itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. It's a lot of shit going on. It doesn't make any sense.
So that was very like discovery writing, just quick. Let's change people's motivation on a dime. Like, that.
Oh yeah, and Discovery did this too, and I want them to stop doing this. Like, I want characters to be consistent to who they are. Yes, they can grow. Yes, they can change, but like, don't do it so many times in the course of 10 episodes in a season. Certainly don't do it from part 1 to part 2. You kind of establish that this Alton Soong is a bit of a scumbag, and then you kind of turn around and say, well, no, he's actually a really good guy, and he's having tea with Picard at the end, and it's all forgiven. Like, he's also complicit in that, right? And what they tried to do there.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And you can maybe understand his motivations, but that doesn't make him redeemed. That doesn't make him what he did okay.
No.
Is anyone questioning Picard's like just judgment on this? Like, there's a reason why there was a synth ban, and basically he tried to. His thesis was that if you just trust them to make the right decision, they will. But I don't know if I completely trust his judgment on this whole synth idea, because I don't think they're always going to necessarily make the right decision, just like humans don't always necessarily make the right decision. Now, if you do the synth thing, if they're able to take over, if they're able to find a way to eradicate biological life, that would be pretty bad. And it seems like they have the ability to do that. So,
and like that, the synth ban was lifted, right? Like it's like a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if I trust that. I don't know if that was the right thing. Like, I mean, I get the show's trying to tell me it was the right thing, but I don't know if they're right.
Well, I imagine they lifted it because they found out that it was the Romulans who were responsible for the Mars attack.
Did they even prove
ultimately?
That? Did they even prove that? We know that because we watched that
assumed.
flashback and we saw them get hacked, but I don't know if anybody else knew that. I don't even understand what Soji and her sister was Daj, right?
Gosh.
Like what their mission was.
Yeah.
Actively.
Yeah. Well, it was.
I don't think they had a mission. I think they were
They're
just
the weirdest
more part.
in the whole thing.
No, they did
Yeah.
mention at one point. I thought it was to find out who was responsible for the Mars. I thought I know they said it.
The truth behind the synth ban,
But
which
then-
was all about the Mars attack. So
Yeah.
so Maddox suspected that there was foul play around that.
Mhm.
So Daj and Soji, he pulled them off of the planet. He set up a lab on Free Cloud. He dealt with that gangster woman. He got some money from her so he could do that. And it was there that they weren't born there, but they were, I guess, like at least finished there or something like that. And then he said,
we have two key elements at play here. Very warm air across much of the south.
what's that? Okay.
What the hell was that?
I
Yeah.
think I'm playing. Sorry.
We're on a podcast.
Yeah, I know. All right, I didn't click any video to play. It just automatically started playing.
Oh yeah. So Daj was sent to Earth. Soji sent to this Borg cube. The Borg cube one makes more sense, I guess, because if you think that the Romulans had some, but I don't know what Daj's mission was.
Well, wasn't she going to go to school in the fall at
Daystrom.
Daystrom Institute?
So, but they would have found secrets at Daystrom or
Maybe.
answers at Daystrom. Maybe
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was weaker for me. I don't know. I like to hold writers accountable to their stories. Call me crazy. I want a good Star Trek story, and I don't want it to be full of like logic and plot holes. And when I see obvious ones, I'm going to call them out. So this is one of them. Yes, that's right.
That's good.
I might just leave that there for the rest of the podcast.
Kevin, you need to join in.
I kind of think that I would like that to be season 2. Just them in a car
No.
driving around.
Data's dead. He can't go. They
Well,
shut him
then
off.
before, whatever.
Now that B4 can now be used again, the synth ban is lifted. They can.
Yeah, and that's my other thing I was going to mention too was Brent Spiner is only good at playing Data. He is not good at playing any of these other.
Oh, I disagree.
Not at the same level. Like he plays Data at a really high, super well done level. But when he's playing like Alton Soong or these other like B4 or whatever, I'm like, I don't need this.
But you have to remember, Data is modeled after these people, so you can't deviate too much from them.
Well, they all have the same. They all look the same, but their personalities are different. Well, I'd say Data is very different than this Alton Soong, or I say Data is very different than even Nooney and Soong.
Do you think that them in Data was kind of like more like Brent Spiner saying like, I don't really want to play this character anymore, so could you please like just kind of end him for good?
Well, that's why they killed him off in Nemesis anyway.
Exact reason why he killed him off in Nemesis, yeah.
Right, but I think that they felt that his death in Nemesis was sort of not good enough, and I think that's part of why they did this. I think that's why Picard or Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner came back for this, was so they could maybe have a bit more of
Closure.
a bit more closure,
A glorious death.
a better ending, because even Nemesis, when B4 starts singing Blue Skies, you don't know where it's going. You can kind of imagine that maybe he's going to become the new Data, maybe not. That's actually what they did in a comic book series, which I guess they've now retconned. But this was a nicer send off. We had a final conversation with Data and Picard in this like afterlife sort of purgatory thing that they were in. That was beautiful. I thought that was well done. So there were times where the show really did do things well, and most of that was sort of on the shoulders of the actors. When the actors could kind of overcome some bad writing or some like not so logical plots at times, whereas I think that's maybe the difference with Discovery is that I don't think that cast is quite as strong as this one is.
Michael Burnham,
even the guy who plays Saru.
Yeah.
I thought Saru was a really
like
good part
All
of the show.
bad. It's just all bad.
It's all
Discovery
bad.
is just all bad.
Pike was good. The guy that played Pike.
And now there's gonna be a Pike show.
Oh,
Why?
why? Yeah, exactly why.
Because
prequel.
Is that his name?
Anson Mount,
Anson Mount.
Well, that has to be a prequel by definition. Fuck.
I blame her.
Yeah. Like I if you're going to do a prequel, that's probably the prequel I would want to see because we don't really know a lot about Pike's adventures as captain of the Enterprise. We know a little bit more from Discovery season 2 now, but not a ton.
Not really.
I wouldn't mind it, I don't think. But they better not. They need to stop doing stupid things like with their writing. Then that campfire scene where Narek says, "Oh, this end of the world story goes back to the first time when our Romulan ancestors landed on Vulcan." I'm like, motherfucker! Like Romulans did not land on Vulcan. Romulans were Vulcans who left. That's long established. I'm like, do your fucking due diligence here and get it right. I don't normally swear, but on this I will. Like this is what pisses me off.
Bring it, Dave.
And his Star Trek geekdom.
Yeah, like respect, follow the format, stick to the format, stick to the canon. It's there. It's served up to you in a beautiful wiki called Memory Alpha. It has everything you'd want to know, right? If you want to
Keep going, Dave. Keep going. I like this energy.
If anything, just hire me. I'll be your script supervisor, and I'll tell you what's dumb with your stuff. Like
what would you do differently, Dave?
I just don't contradict what has already come before. That's
like
all.
What?
And
like
stop
that.
trying to shoehorn people in that didn't exist before.
Like you mean like a Michael Burnham being Spock's sister?
Michael Burnham.
Yes, and soon Dr. Soong's son. He didn't have a son. He had two sons, Data and Lore.
And before.
Yeah, 3 then. But what? Why? What? And I would say that before is also one of those shoehorned in characters. Just in the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's awful.
Right.
Yes and no. I was okay with B4 when they introduced him because Juliana Soong had mentioned that there were a couple prototypes for Lore that had died, and so I assumed that B4 was one of these. But there'd be more than 3 then. There'd be like maybe 6. Because they said that like they couldn't get the neural net to stabilize the first few times, like kind of like with Lal, they died, right? Like stop
giving these characters from before family members we've never fucking heard of.
Right.
Like, stop it. Why do they love doing this? There's enough characters already. Make a fucking story with the ones you have.
Yeah, Star Trek does this sometimes. As long as it's not contradicting old stuff, I'm fine with it. If you can bring in something new, you can say like, "Hey, Worf had a stepbrother." That's interesting. Like when who was that? Paul Sorvino played him in The Next Generation. That was a great addition to
what was his name? His brother's name?
Oh, Nikolai.
Right,
because he was Russian. Minsk is where Worf wanted to retire. Right?
Minsk.
Yeah, Minsk.
That was fine because we were still learning about Worf. But if they were to bring in a brother now in a show that wasn't ever mentioned in the other show in Next Gen, it's awful. Stop it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Wait a second. Didn't Worf had another brother?
We had Kern.
Yeah.
But that was because he didn't know, because there was like kind of if you can explain it in a logical way like that, like a baby, like a sort of separated after that tragedy of their parents dying, that's that's one thing. I think if you said all of a sudden, guess what? Spock had a sister. I guess that's
apparently Spock is one of 1,000 children that we just never heard of.
You go back to Star Trek 5, right? That was the first time they even did it with Spock's brother, right? Ibok.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sarek was
Hold
married
on.
for my mother and whatever.
There's a Star Trek 5.
No.
Yeah, it exists, but
Lock it out.
I thought they went right from 4 to 6.
they were. What was the song they sang around another campfire? You know, I love these friggin'
Row,
campfires. Row your boat.
Oh my god.
What it comes down to. It's his underlying hate for camping that is coming out.
Okay.
He really despises camping, didn't he?
Yeah.
The only thing that would have made that scene with Rios and all them around the campfire with Narek, they should just sang row your boat. And we were like, oh well, they're paying homage to
No, they should have did Farajaka.
Frere Jacques. Yeah, for Picard, we'll do Frere Jacques. Dormez-vous.
I don't know.
Ding ding dong. Yeah, that's all. Like, I hate when they need to change things for no reason.
Like the thing for me is like the fundamental thing about this Star Trek is that it doesn't follow the same feel as the movies did, the TV show, everything that these guys make. Kurtzman and I forget what the other guy's name is.
OG?
Yes, him. Both those guys, they do Discovery, they did this show, they did the new movies. It's always the same. It's always make it look more like Star Wars, make it more flashy. Because we'll get more viewers, because basically that's what Star Wars does, and people do love Star Wars.
Looks like Star Wars.
I get why they're doing it, but they're basically alienating the old Star Trek fans, and like because they know they're going to get those people anyway. We're going to watch it anyway, so they're like, all right, we're going to focus more on making it look more like Star Wars. So basically, we get the whole audience, and it's all about marketing, and I think they should stop it. I think they should. It's kind of like when Wolverine, they kept making these god awful Wolverine movies, and then finally they're like, you know what, let's do a rated R movie, and it was the most successful one. Like that, they need to go back to what we want, what the core fans want, and then just let it be what it is.
Right. I feel like if I had to speculate, I feel like there's been people over the years who've come along and say, you know what the problem with Star Trek is, this is them going into CBS and to Paramount, Viacom, and all that. You know what the problem with Star Trek is? It's just not sexy enough. It's not cut up to today's stuff. People love Game of Thrones and hence Discovery with all like the 24 houses of the Klingons. And
I can't wait to see nudity in Star Trek.
Right? You know what?
Amazing.
Let's make it more like Star Wars. Let's like tap into those fans, and really like this show is not going to appeal, in my opinion, to those individuals, people who are like the more modern stuff. I think that I guess you can make an argument. You have to bring in new blood, new fans, or the franchise dies. But you don't necessarily have to reinvent yourself like this to try to be like everybody else. It's kind of disingenuous and lacks.
Can't you have the same fans, like just younger fans who like the same kind of stuff? Why does it have to be different fans?
Or new fans, or they want a bigger market share, like I guess. But
I mean, if you look at like Doctor Who, for instance, they've never really changed the core show that Doctor Who is over all the years it's been on, right? Like it's kind of always been the same, right? It's been the Doctor episodically solving things with companions. Like they didn't change the way it looked too much. It's kind of always been the same core.
Like when they relaunched it with Christopher Eccleston in 2005. Right. That was like the biggest like revamp, right? And so that's kind of what this is, but they did that much better, right? Like sort of take it, because if you look at that old Doctor Who stuff, like it's hard to watch.
But it's hard to watch some of the original series episodes or some of the like TNG season 1. It's hard to watch some of that too, So, but they kind of kept it. I don't know, like a core, like I don't know, like the atmosphere. Like Star Trek. It just doesn't feel like Star Trek anymore to me, and I wanted to because I feel like they could do it. They could make it more what the old shows did. But I think you're right. Like executives go in and go, this isn't flashy enough. It doesn't move fast enough. The plot needs to move this fast. You need to really develop these characters. Bing, bang, boom. Rather than like you want like a nice drawn out development of a character, like they did with Worf, like they did with Data, like they did with
Do
all
it
these
slowly, do it thoughtfully, don't force it. And yeah, you can make this argument like Next Generation was a reinvention of the original series. Star Trek had to as an entertainment property had to evolve because it wasn't the 60s anymore. Like, you couldn't do it exactly the same way. You could keep a lot of the sort of the blueprint of it, but you had to change it up. And that's what they make this argument now. Like, well, we have to make Star Trek like this now because that's what everybody else does now. That's what people expect in 2020 from their TV shows.
I was gonna say, the Doctor Who does try to evolve. I mean, they have a female doctor now. Yeah. And they recently did something that the fans did not like at all. I don't want to spoil her, but a lot of people were not happy with
I was not happy
to the Doctor.
I was not happy. They retconned part of the Doctor's history.
So that they're screwing up Doctor Who too, these writers.
Yeah.
You can think.
When you start like messing with canon and the way things looked and way things are, and without explaining things, or you start changing things on a mass level, people are going to be upset, and people are going to be like, it's not quite what I want. Look at Game of Thrones, the last season of Game of Thrones. They didn't do it right, and everybody got pissed off. And like that's what it will happen. People they go, that's
my favorite one in Game of Thrones was they're like, well, we could show you a battle for like half an hour, but that would get really boring. Nobody wants to see that. I was like, motherfuckers, I want to see that. That's not boring. That's why I watch this show.
So boring, Dave.
What battle?
There's one episode of Game of Thrones that is all a battle, and it is the most boring thing I've ever
seen. The Long Night one?
I don't remember.
You remember the one where
second to last episode,
like the one where the Battle of the Bastards one? That's not boring.
Oh, that's with the big circle?
Yeah.
They're all in a circle and they're fighting? Yeah, that was good, yeah.
Right? Like you can so I think writers have to stop assuming what we want, right? Like, how about you listen to the fans, and how about you
what they need to do in season 2 if they want to keep this show going is they need to develop the characters, and how you do that is you have stories and you make it an episodic thing, and you have stories that revolve around individual characters.
Yeah,
right. So how the Jody
help that character solve their problem.
Are you ready for the Jody episode?
Oh.
As long as she dies at the end.
Yeah.
And then there's nobody left to put her in an android because she's the only one that can do it.
Oh, that would be the scariest thing. If Jody died, got put into an android, and then she was super psycho.
And she could like do that, like wrap her leg around a guy's neck and like flip around the Black Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow as an android. Oh, I couldn't think of anything more terrifying.
Maybe she is an android.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, how would they mind meld? Well, no, never mind.
Maybe that's how they could mind meld.
Maybe.
You might be onto something there.
I hope they're listening so they can try to work that in. You're welcome. If you are.
For free, as long as you're watching our show.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, like I don't know. I just there's a reason that these shows are like on Netflix, for instance. Like everybody, I don't know. I imagine that Star Trek on Netflix gets a lot of views. That people love going back and watching these shows. Yeah. That's part of the reason this show exists at all. I think is because people have gone back and watched that stuff and felt like they love Picard, whatever. And so that's why. And for us who grew up on that stuff, we're like, yes, this is good, but make it. You don't have to be so different than it used to be, right?
Yep.
I think.
Well, the problem is if you're going to cater to the TV, the Netflix crowd, I guess you have to you do have to change things. Traditional TV format doesn't work anymore.
Well, what about the Orville? That hasn't come back yet.
Well, you could say that's maybe there's a reason that didn't succeed, right?
What do you mean? It's coming back
on Hulu eventually, sometime. It's not on network anymore. It's not like an hour broadcast show.
Yeah, network TV has kind of died, which is what Star Trek was. So
I think that's why. Part of the reason that Supernatural is going away finally. I think it's kind of that kind of a show.
If they're also going to do,
you mean a show that should have went away 10 seasons ago?
If they're going to do seasons like this that are one story arc, they need to do it like Netflix does and drop it all at once.
Just drop it all.
say, why aren't they dropping it all at once? I mean,
Well, we know
money.
CBS isn't dropping it all at once. They want to keep getting their revenue.
Yeah.
right, but like, how does like shows that are produced by Netflix, they only make money off subscriptions? They have no ads whatsoever.
No,
I canceled my Disney Plus once Mandalorian was done.
So did we. Yeah.
Yeah, so do we. I mean,
Yeah.
And I'll probably pirate it. Because literally, fuck you guys. Like, if you're not gonna, if they drop the entire thing, and then I had other things in the catalog, but like, you can only watch so many fucking Marvel movies. You can only watch so many fucking Star Wars movies. Like, Disney Plus is a sham. It's great if you got like little kids, but
it's got an impressive catalog. But yeah, like after a while, you're like,
the catalog isn't that impressive, Dave. Honestly,
not
it's
a lot
not.
for me.
It's got Gargoyles. It's got all like the Disney movies.
That's great. And if you have,
but we had it, and you had. I don't think we solidly watched it for a month before I canceled it. I'm like, we're not using this. We watched The Mandalorian. Maybe watched a couple Gargoyles.
Don't get me wrong, The Mandalorian was a great series. I'm looking forward to the next season. I hope it drops eventually. I think it's October for that one. But that was the only thing that was keeping my Disney Plus thing, was literally every week I had to go back and watch the next episode.
And I'll jump onto Disney Plus when it's like the Falcon Winter Soldier show and like all these MCU spin-off shows. They may not appeal to you, but they do to me.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything against that. Like, yeah, that's fine if that's your thing. But like Disney Plus, like one of the biggest problems I had with Disney Plus is they really have geared it towards kids, and that's not what Netflix does. So Netflix is like the adult version of Disney Plus essentially. So, but what they've done is they've jeopardized it, and all the hardcore fans that like the MCU, or MCEU, I guess it is, whatever it is. All those people, are throwing that money in every month. CBS is doing the exact same thing. Can you name one other CBS show that you would sign up for?
Big Brother.
Oh.
Okay. But there was a time when Big Brother, you would pay and then you would have access on their website. You would need some streaming service for that, right?
Right. Well, you pay for the feed, right? Yeah. So like watch it 20. Yeah, but like but then they did this other Big Brother called Big Brother Over the Top. They tried it for 1 year where it was like an exclusive to CBS All Access. Like we know we're in the big. Well, you can say we're in the height of the streaming wars right now, and entertainment's changing and how we digest.
Well, you have a Goliath like Netflix, right? Which is literally, they are the streaming service. Let's be honest. Everybody has at least Netflix, right? And then they always have, one or two others. Like I have Prime Video because I have, Prime or whatever. But Disney Plus, I was really excited about it. And then literally I'm going through the catalog. I'm like, wow, I could watch either Star Wars, I could watch Marvel, or I can watch Simpsons.
What about Fox movies? There's not a lot of Fox movies like Die Hard and stuff on there.
No, because they're on Hulu because they're not putting anything R-rated on Disney Plus. It's child friendly.
It's
nothing.
Like I understand they're trying to cater, and honestly, if my kids were 10 years younger, I think Disney Plus would be a way bigger thing. Like for me, it would be like, oh, great, I can fucking pop them in front of Disney Plus, be done with it. But I think we're talking 10 years too late. Like this is something Disney should have jumped on ages ago, or made some sort of partnership with Netflix back then.
No, that Disney is ultimately going to win out because they've got the backing. Netflix is at the mercy of everyone else. They own hardly anything. But
that's why they're doing their own original content.
Yeah, but
now they're starting to produce some really high end shit. So
yeah, well, I watched some video that was like their business model is vulnerable. They can't afford to take a dip. Whereas, like,
but Netflix is one thing that Netflix is great at is reinventing itself. You got to remember, it started as a mail order fucking
DVD,
and now they're like a production company, a streaming service. Like as soon as they see the winds of change, they're like, they change with it.
I think Disney Plus is going to be pretty successful for the next couple of years. But we also are dealing with now, we have the first phase or second phase, I don't remember which phase we're in of the Marvel universe. That's now come to an end. So now we're going to have to start this next phase. So they're banking totally on Marvel. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a bit tired of Marvel movies. So
that's been me since Iron Man.
I'll never get tired of it, Jody.
Well, and that's fine, and that's good. I'm glad that you're entertained by that. But to me, it's just like this is the like CBS. I can't see CBS All Access winning this at all. Like it's
No, I'd
I
say
have no desire.
CBS All
No.
Access is a minor player. I'd say it's a three-way war between Netflix, Prime, and Disney Plus over the next few years. Those are the
All it's gonna take is two of those to join forces. That's all it is. If Prime and Netflix got together, Disney would be fucked. This isn't the format wars. This isn't like Blu-ray. Okay, this isn't the same thing. Disney manipulated the market for years. Okay, when I was I used to be in work at a video store at one point. When you ordered movies that were coming out, your average movie, even though Disney movies were $20 or whatever when a videotape came out, okay, if you wanted a rental copy, you had to pay $130 for the exact same movie. Literally, okay. Like Disney knows how to corner markets, and that's fine. And all the power to them if they can do it. I think obviously, the more there is, the better it is for everybody. Because let's be honest, competition is good. But I think I think you're going to see like Amazon and like Netflix are going to get together one day, and that's going to be just unstoppable. There's a lot of good stuff on Prime. Their interface is terrible.
Oh yeah, they got a terrible interface. Yeah, I know that.
But you got a lot of stuff on Prime, and I can see stuff like, Star Trek and stuff eventually, just hitting over to Prime. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah,
I think CBS will go under in a couple of years when it comes to their streaming service.
But yeah, I agree. In general, like I would like if the Star Trek Picard dropped all at once, especially if they're going to do it like this. Like, and I know that they designed the show, they designed this first season so that because they knew that it's more about people who are going to go back and binge watch it than the like us who have been watching it week by week. So they have to think sort of long term like that. So maybe that's part of our like just the pacing of this show. I think was tough sometimes, and sometimes just the writing logic and other things. So I think they got some work to do for next season, but I think that overall there are some good pieces in place. I think there's a decent crew that I like for the most part. I want to see where they go. I don't know where this crew goes. Are they going to be like the Guardians of the Galaxy, like just kind of doing odd?
That'd be cool.
Or maybe, I don't know, but like we've never had a Star Trek show like that with a crew like that. That's not Starfleet. So it's going to be.
You almost got like a bit of a marquee vibe.
They could
do you think Marvel would be better if they did like say Guardians of the Galaxy was a TV show instead of a movie? Do you think that would be better or worse?
I think it'd be worse, personally.
I think it'd be better.
I think it'd be better if they did Guardians of the Galaxy as a TV show.
Have you ever seen Parks and Rec?
I've never watched it, but I hear it.
Tell me how tiring it is to see Star-Lord there in that show eventually. It gets really tiring.
Really? I think it's awesome. I love that show.
Andy is funny, but Andy does not need to be as much Andy as Andy is in that show. That's all I'm going to say. We need more Ron Swanson. That's what we need.
Well, Drax is kind of the Ron Swanson of the Guardians, right? And they really put him more in the second
Drax
movie.
Ron Swanson of the Guardians.
Well, he's got the deadpan humor, right?
Well, and who's our comic relief on La Serena? Would that be Girardi?
Rios's people?
Rios like holographic characters? Yeah, we didn't see them in the
deadpan humor. That's Elnor.
Oh, Elnor.
He's not funny.
He's Wesley.
But
he would. Yeah.
Nobody's fucking funny in this show.
No. Nobody. Picard is the funniest. Literally, he is the most funny lines. Is Picard. So
like, the only thing that was funny was when Picard had that ridiculous French accent. He's like, "Oh,
that wasn't funny. That was painful."
Yes, well, it depends what you're looking for in your humor.
A Frenchman that can't do a French accent. Jesus.
Yeah. This character who's already from France. And then he's just
he's the most British Frenchman I've ever seen.
Adieu to Riker. That was his final word. It was a French word.
Adieu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, guys,
Yeah, right there.
that's I think we have to bid this season adieu and sign off for the first season of Star Trek Picard. I'm excited to get back with the gang for next season, whenever that happens. I imagine it's gonna be later because of this whole COVID-19 delay. It's gonna push a lot of entertainment
But
back.
aren't we going to be doing Discovery?
Well, who's in for Discovery season 3?
Nope.
Anybody? I think
Sorry, they're running out long.
and
Tyrone.
maybe Max.
Max.
We'll get a different crew. We'll be the La Serena version. This
You
is
have to get the younger crowd, yeah.
Josh. I
Josh.
don't think Josh is watching it. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll get maybe Josh in here. Yeah, because I am still gonna watch it even though I don't like it. So
Sir are a trooper.
yeah,
A trooper.
yeah. Have you seen all the promo materials where it's like Burnham holding up that ripped Federation flag?
No.
No.
Oh, no. I saw it today,
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
but I didn't watch. Click on it.
Is that like, hey, how about Discovery, Picard? No.
Well, he's kind of twitchy.
He's a little twitched. He's got his Euromod.
He looks like he's jerking.
No, Kevin. Oh, he does.
That's amazing.
Slap.
Maybe I like how it only sometimes will work and he'll wave.
You can't have everything.
He's finished and he's showing you what he's done.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brought home his
I've
prize.
been a bad boy, he says. Here we go. But I don't even know exactly what air date Discovery is coming. And more importantly, I think I'd rather do some rewatches. So we said we'd go back and watch the movies. Starting
I'm down with that.
Star Trek 1. So if you guys are be good with that, hey, maybe next week, Saturday, we all watch Star Trek the Motion Picture, and then we talk about that one. And then the week after, we do Wrath of Khan and so on until we get through all of them in sort of the order they were done. How about that?
Sure.
All right. A rewatch podcast.
As long as Kevin is on 5, I'm happy. I have to commit Kevin to 5.
Star Trek. He has to be on the panel for 5 or for 3.
I have to hear Kevin bitch about 5.
3
or 3.
Right.
Actually, 3 would be better.
I can come on. I want to come on for 3 too because I can't. I hate.
I'm going to be here for 3, just freaking defending it against all you assholes and telling you it's a decent enough.
You're
movie.
defending 3? What is wrong with you?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's not.
It's got some great
It would have
moments.
been a perfect movie if they had killed Robin Curtis.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, not her as a person.
And we'll talk about that when we podcast about that movie. But my favorite line in that movie is when Kirk says to reborn Spock, he's like, "The needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many," and flipping that on its
A
head.
little tear in your eye.
It's a little tear.
Yeah,
Yes. All right. So, hey, we'll be back for next week to cover Star Trek The Motion Picture 1979, and everybody has to watch it, including those scenes where
The whole thing?
I got it.
The whole thing. I like how Jane's like, literally the whole thing.
Through
No,
those
We're going to watch it all?
you have to experience that in its glory.
Again, at that time they were kind of following Star Wars' lead when they showed off the Death Star, right? That long track of the Death Star or whatever, right? They did the same thing in Star
Yeah,
Trek.
there's like a 10-minute scene where it's just the Enterprise in Stardock.
Yeah.
Well, that's been Star Trek Picard Season 1. Thank you, everybody. It went by fast. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're going to be covering Star Trek TV and movie for the foreseeable future. Leave comments. Just, let us know if you ever want to join the show, too.
We're also going to be doing Westworld, where, Dave, you have to start watching.
We have to get on Westworld. I did watch the first episode, so I do need to talk to you about that, but I think there's at least one more. So whenever you're ready to start that, we can today, Jeff.
We're already on episode 3, so you can catch up.
Yeah, let's catch up. And if you guys ever want to talk about any other shows, movies, whatever, then we can do that. Although everything Star Trek will stay here, live long in podcast, and we'll probably have other pages for different stuff. So, all right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Kevin, Jody, Jeff, Jane, and all our panelists this season, Max and Tyrone and Jaemeel and Rich. It was great having everyone be part of this first season. So thank you. And a shout out to Nick Siviero. Thank you for being such a diligent fan and watching and liking all of our stuff and sharing it. We really appreciate that. Okay. What do you say when it's the end of the Star Trek? Do you say
live long and podcast?
And you say peace and long life.
Peace and long life.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Right now.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.